All right, hello everybody and welcome back. We are going to be into our second map here, the plane just flying over, so hopefully we should see where the boys are going to be dropping soon. I am, of course, Scriv, coming at you once again with big man John Allen, as everybody is starting to fly down a little bit here. Keel, having a great game over on our first map, and, you know, that kind of puts them into that top spot, so hopefully we'll be seeing as equally as an interesting game as we get into yet another matchup.
Yeah, the plane on this one is going to be going straight across from west to east in the middle of the map, which means that pretty much everywhere is going to be available. Military Island, a little bit less accessible. We could see some players dropping south, looking for those vehicles, trying to get across the bridge early. But then, of course, you run the risk of being zoned away and having the circle land somewhere completely different. So you can see a lot of these players are splitting off. No one really in that south central position. There is one player moving down towards that eastern bridge, so maybe a little bit of a break for the military island there. But for now, it's going to be pretty sparsely dispersed. Over on the west is where the first circle will land. A couple of people over on Milter Power, so they're going to have to move pretty sharpish.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully they can find what they are looking for. Milter Power, I feel, can be a little bit misleading. You know, it's quite a big area, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to give you the greatest amount of loot. So maybe that's why Warwick only sending a couple players over here. There's a few, as you can see, buildings across the road, I suppose, that they could also go to. But yeah, they are... There's actually quite a lot of teams, you know, very, very far away that have been a little bit disappointed, let's say, by this particular zone. A lot of it going to be in the water and you know, half of it not even really in the map. So pretty difficult for some of these teams, and like you say, they're going to have to get moving relatively quickly, and that could be a bit of a problem for their early loot gathering.
Ooh, already a little bit of damage taken by God HB, but Team 5, again, completely spread out. There's a little bit of a scramble for Severny, it looks like, up in the northern side of the map. Lipovka pretty much owned by Team 3 at the moment. They should have pretty easy looting. It's on the eastern side of that map, so of course, they do have a little bit of a way to go, but for now, everyone's just going to be looting up. Everyone's just chilling out at the moment and having a little bit of a looting phase, which is pretty much understandable. I mean, we're only 3 minutes into the game. To go down now would be pretty annoying to say the least. But hang on a minute, what's he doing there? He's gonna get shot at.
What? Has he? He surely got to have gone AFK for a second or something, or he's disconnected.
He's just sitting there. Yeah. Oh no.
Oh, that's a bit awkward.
He's going for the boat, I think.
Is he actually? I'm not sure.
I think he's just sitting still.
I feel like he is literally just not moving, yeah.
Yeah. They're getting in the boat. They're going to go over there. They're going to take that kill pretty swiftly. 25, of course, actually already drowning, so you might even deny them the kill. There he goes. Oh, dear. They're still going for it, though.
Rest in peace.
I think they've realised.
Yeah.
Oh, no, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But they still have control of Lipovka. They are wasting a little bit of time because they do have to go all the way across the island over in the north. Players at firing range and in the town as well to the north. So should be able to split off pretty easily, but it's the move that is really going to get them there. Everybody, though, very far dispersed, and that's kind of an artifact of having that very, very central drop path.
Keeping up with Greeny, gotten himself a little bit of a Tommy gun. From my experience, not the most powerful of weapons, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he's got other plans for it. You know, a bit of a you know, mafia RP going on, maybe.
Now here's a turn up for the books. School completely left alone to one player, to Niels. Going to be able to look up pretty efficiently, but there is Epoch. Where's his teammate, though? Looking to maybe come and snag some of that loot, but they have got control of Rosok as well. They have really had a really strong looting phase. This is the Kiel team that won last game in a convincing fashion. They've had School, they've had Rosok, and they've had Apartments. There's going to be so much loot on these guys. They are going to be absolutely decked moving forwards. I'm going to be watching out for them in the kill feed yet again.
This is, once again, maybe Lady Luck on their side this evening as they get another great start. We do need to be a little bit careful once again, slightly split early on, but I think they recognise the fact that there's no one around here. It took a little bit of a longer shoot, so, you know, would have had ample amounts of time to spot out other parachutes and things like that coming their way. So a good read from them once again, as like you say, they've got so much room to work with. Team 5, or at least Snips, moving in to pick up a vehicle. We'll see where he goes here. Does need to be a little bit careful. If he goes down towards Lipovka, could spell the end for him. There are 4 players around there.
He spotted someone. I don't think he
he
wants
does
to
a
take the
little
full fight. Doesn't
No.
look like he wants to take that full fight. I mean, it is wise. I mean, he knows that there's players there, but he's only got a red dot on the M16. What he's actually looking for there. He's shooting out tires. This is really, really smart. He's going to stop these rotates coming through. He's already taken out one of those buggies, and he's already managed to get it. They are returning fire and trying to stop him from getting away. I'm not too sure if they managed to pop out a tire just yet, but it seems like that's a cheeky little play, and it might pay off big time because Lipovka, one of those long rotate routes that is really going to put a needle in the haystack. That's not the right. That's not the a spanner, a wrench in the works. In the end. Spanner in the works. There we go. You can do my metaphors from now on.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. We've got so many in the back pocket as casters. Sometimes you do get a bit, you try and go for maybe one too many.
Oh, that'll really put a frog in your muffin. Oh no.
Yeah. Oh damn. Again. Listen. We'll just leave, the literary imagery to the experts and just have to move through the game. I think I don't know. Far from an expert myself, but I've played the game a lot, that's for sure. I don't know whether I'd be able to give these boys a run for their money. Yeah. Back in the early days, I was really, really big into PUBG, to be fair.
Oh, well, there you go.
But obviously, it's changed quite a bit since then, you know what I mean? So
it has. I mean, there's been a lot of updates in terms of, how the circles move, how the vehicles work, how healing works, how the circle damage works. It has really evolved and changed for the better, I think it is. And not to mention the spectator tools have gotten infinitely better, which is why we're able to even bring you this production. I mean, phenomenal. But for now, still very, very quiet early on. Only one player to go down. That was the player that we saw drown, being AFK early into the game. So really not too much happening. It's everybody's very, very spread out towards within the next 3-4 minutes when players start to arrive at that western circle is where we're going to see these conflicts. And see how we can try and make it pay off. I'm going to be interested to see how the team from Lipovka is going to try and make that rotate, because, of course, they did have a couple of vehicles with those tires shot out.
Yeah, I think for sure it is going to come down to a little bit later. It took quite a while for the action to come in the previous game, and it was very, very chaotic towards the end. So I think we will maybe see a little bit of a different strategical approach to the end of this game, like you say, with how split everybody is. Team 5, once again, just a little bit all over the place. I don't know if you guys caught that on the map, but there's one who is further to the west, and then there's a couple playing in together. They're not quite all as grouped up as maybe they would like, and with, like we say, with a high volume of players going to be coming in to that western circle quite quickly, you do want to make sure they're kind of grouped up and not getting caught off guard and taken down as free kills. It would seem our boys, the pro players, by the way, have got a number of vehicles once again. Although so has Kiel, so it's quite a key thing, I think, to pick up as many vehicles as possible.
The players from Lipovka, they're actually in a boat. They're moving around the eastern coast. It's the only sort of vehicle they can find. They did have it in the back pocket, and they should be able to make it through that channel, but it's going to be dangerous. There's going to be so many players towards this coast, and again, it's just really, really strong play to destroy those vehicles. You can see how far they actually have to go. The question is, do they have the fuel, and do they have the time to actually make it there? Because they've only managed to loot up Lipovka, so there's going to be limited meds on board.
Yeah, considering they were all together as well. Oh, goodness.
Oh, they're fine. They're all right.
Could have gone south.
It's okay. Crisis averted.
Jeez. But as you could just immediately right, okay. Yeah, no more motorbiking for me, thanks. I'm out. Epoch's just running away. That's kind of a classic.
He had his helmet on, and safety first. That's the main thing.
There you go. Not only bringing you PUBG, but also key education tonight.
Key life advice. That's what we want. Everyone should be modelling their life entirely on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, because that is the best way to live, apparently.
Well, I mean, this is post-Brexit Britain, isn't it? That's how it's going to end up being.
Sure, well, we'll see if they're going to...
If you believe what you read.
Yeah, well, let's see if the Hell Surfers are going to keep up with these guys, because they are still just making their way through the channel. It is still the first circle, so it is limited damage, but you can see they're really going to have to chug through those meds all around that half HP mark, and they're going to have to make their way. There is a team up to the north. They've got a lot less distance to cover, however. This is really, really sketchy right now for those guys in the boat. They are really going to have to make their way.
Oh, first bit of action going to be seen here, though, is Gibby just holding in the top corner. Edward Ant not expecting him at all, completely alone. So no opportunity at a trade. That's a little bit lucky that Gibby had made it into that building unseen. And obviously going to be a bit tilting that you kind of just walk in and get shot by a guy sat in a corner. But it does happen from time to time. You're kind of going to have to deal with it. But the first official kill of the game comes in there for Gibby.
Still moving in. It's going to be double damage pretty soon. You can see actually the boys from Lipovka are going to be actually beaching themselves towards the south side of that eastern bridge. I'm going to keep keeping updates on those guys, because I think that's kind of the most interesting thing going on at the moment, because all of these teams are pretty set where they are. You've got Team 6, they've taken control of this compound. Everyone's going to start to find these little compounds, these little sets of houses that they're just going to be able to hold down and find those positions. And you don't need to move for very long at all. It's going to be really simple just to sit there, hold your ground, and try and get it done. But when you have to still get into the circle, it's going to really put a spanner in the works. They got it right that time, they did.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, just keeping up with the boys, seeing what's going on with the boat. A little bit awkward.
Actually moving in.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a question of, like, could they not have set off earlier? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd have known they were going to go for this long con kind of play.
Yeah, they could have done, but of course, with the vehicles being shot out, this is entirely off the back of that. The only reason they weren't able to make the land rotation was because they'd had those vehicles denied to them. If that hadn't have happened, they would be in the middle of this fight as it goes on now. But as it stands, they're going to be really low on meds moving forwards. They're going to be really in a bad spot in terms of positioning and terrain. And so that change has really, really done a number completely, really kind of done them over in a really big way.
Niels has just found out so much information here. He spots that one motorbike, and the fact that they've stopped there now kind of confirms it for him that there's a team of players over there, but they're kind of ready for him. Maybe being spotted out. This is the two top boys facing off against each other as well. It's pro players, by the way, and the Kiel squad. They've got great positioning in, but I'm not so sure these minis can be very useful, can be very strong, but at range are going to struggle a little bit against some of the weaponry. There's a car in there, 14-14, so they do need to be a little bit careful taking these long-range engagements.
This central section of the zone is highly, highly contested at the moment. You can see, as we said, as we're talking about Team 14, the pro players, by the way, from DMU, facing off against the Kiel squad. They're really going to be vying for control here. But what that's going to do is it's going to draw so much attention towards them as a whole, as a unit. A couple of players actually going down to the blue, so we've only actually had one kill so far in the entire game. One actual kill going through, so a very, very slow game compared to last time, where there was very dramatic moves early on, across the water as well, which meant that everyone was forced together early. This time around, we're going to see players bide their time, take positions, and try and make it work. At the moment, pro players, by the way, unaware of the player down to the south on their flank, but I don't think that player from Team 25 is really going to want to go for too much bother, because they are solo. They are just completely left alone. Meanwhile, Team 3, they're still making their way in. They're still going. They're still running across the land at this stage, and they are just going to go for the edge play on the circle.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. One of the Team 1 members died to the zone a little while ago.
It could have been an AFK again. It could have been an AFK.
That's true. That's very true, actually, to be fair.
Oh. He's died from that's full damage.
Yeah.
Or a crash.
Okay. So a mistake, basically.
Yeah.
Probably a crash car. I feel like full damage is a bit more intuitive to know when you're going to die from it.
Sometimes those cliffs will sneak up on you.
Indeed. If you're not 100% familiar with the map type situation, they can very, very easily sneak up on you.
Holding at the moment. Yet again, it's the center of this map, again, really going to be contested. As I was saying, Swamp now is being controlled. The crate being picked up. by Team 17. They've already managed to take the most of what was in there, but there's still armor going through.
Looks like
Might
a
try and
Grazer,
call
I
in.
think.
Yeah, I think one of their players, I think, might actually just come in and retrieve the rest of that armor for just so they can disperse that loot around the team. Very uncontested as well, so a nice pickup.
Yeah, we saw one, earlier on in the last game for Team 17. They got so much from it. And just using things wisely, and sharing it out, like you say. Obviously, it becomes a lot more team-based once again, maybe. From my experience, some of my friends are very greedy, but I think in this kind of a scenario, you're obviously playing to win, and you're going to take things much more as a unit, not splitting things up and just kind of playing for the frags or whatever it may be. Atomical here, talking of frags, doing a little bit of damage on towards the cars, trying to shoot out some tyres. I think this is Team 1, isn't it? So they're caught in between two teams here, actually, because Team 14 up on the hill behind them. And now, like I say, two teams going to be aware of their positioning. That makes things very, very difficult for them if they need to move out. However, as we see the map, they are dead in the centre, so there's a good chance they could stick around in this compound for a while, but they're really going to be hunkering down.
Over towards the southwest, there's plenty of action going on there. Team 5 taking on Team 10. It actually seems to be going pretty even at the moment. Downs going through left and right for both of these sides. Still just trying to duke out around these corners. Just falling a little bit faster, but there's still plenty of representatives, still plenty of players going through. They're just dueling around these corners. He's going to get another down onto Bucko. Going to leave him, I believe, potentially the last alive in his squad. No, he has got plenty more players. There's 2 players up for Team 10. One of them, though, is down. 3 for Team 5. Team 5 definitely have the drop into this fight. But at the moment, still banner in the works. The indie looking for those angles, looking for those peaks, and trying to spot out any information. These fast movements will give his position away, and he might just find it better to bug out because Bucko's already gone down. They might just want to cut their losses.
Yeah, Deathblade as well, holding a pretty difficult angle to deal with on the stairs. Can very quickly exit. He's very aware of the fact that the Indie's around. The immediate player here, I think his teammates are starting to encroach. Peeks around the corner, but the low HP already there for Indy. Obviously, no teammates. He immediately goes down. But I think he was about half HP and without meds, so a little bit of an easier pickup for Deathblade. But I think that's, 2 or 3 kills comes in for him there. And obviously wiping out an entire squad is pretty good for Team 5.
Team 8 actually playing the edge camp right now. Team 3 are going to be looking to push up towards them. That's the team that came all the way from Lipovka. They are still going. They're still trucking along. I think they might only have 3 players left alive, though, on their squad. Not too sure on that, but there is a scout moving up forwards. Yeah, exactly. It is... they have got that scout moving forwards to try and secure them a little bit of position into the next circle, but they're right next to Team 8. It's going to be really difficult for them to move through, considering as well that they're going to have churned through so many meds as well. They won't have had time to loot pretty much at all. If they lose this next fight, if they lose this next fight, they lose. But if they win this next fight, they're going to really rely on those meds that they can pick up.
Bit of action going on. Ooh, yeah, and he gets finished completely as well. Combination of Team 2, I think, as you could just kind of see there, completely overwhelming him. Sat in a building, seemingly waiting for his teammates, I think, who are a little bit further behind. And yeah, just the wrong people meeting him first. Vanilla getting a lot of information, doesn't want to take the fight, though. As once again, this is a hunted position. Still, it does kind of depend on where the next zone moves to, though. As you can see, they're just on the edge. So they've prolonged themselves for a while, hunkered down and being pretty safe, not taking too many fights. But...
oh, no. Into the lines, then.
Needs to keep on moving. He will indeed be able to get away with it a little bit. But, yeah, 4 players just spraying straight into him. Thankful that the position was kind of flat, and then suddenly it wasn't, going over the dip there. Able to get away for just a second, and now Kiel going to try and capitalise on this, seeming and thinking that their opponents are taking a fight. This is the main team that's going to stop them, moving in to the next zone once it shows itself. So they do need to try and edge down and get a little bit of med used by their opponents, and just keep chipping them away and hope that they move away. Or best case scenario is obviously to kill them, but at this point in time, I think that's easier said than done.
Team 3 actually managed to find their way in to the circle. Team 8 moved north. They rotated away which is going to allow to just keep moving forwards. You can see, though, there's so little loot, an M16, barely any ammo, only that 2x and a single first aid kit for one of their players. It's really, really sparse at the moment, and they have such difficult terrains across. They don't have a vehicle. They've done real well to make it this far, but I don't know how much further they can go. They will have spotted out Team 8, but there is a team at their back who they will need to be careful of. The move needs to come in because the next 30 seconds, they're going to be starting to force up to that northern position with the circle moving in.
Yeah, it's so very open here as well, as we can kind of see from this flyover. So running through that, you got the zone at your back, you got a team at your back, you know, there's a team in front of you. It's going to be pretty difficult for them. Nice shots coming in from Secret Lucian, not quite sure what his nomenclature is, but he's hitting the shots, that's kind of all that matters. And a kill coming in for the squad with an easy down, and here we are seeing a little bit more action.
Team 3 under fire.
Indeed, we're getting into the tighter spots here. This was the team that was kind of behind them a little bit, and I believe that's all of them getting wiped out in a matter of seconds. So it was all for naught, John.
It was a valiant effort. I mean, they had such a journey coming all the way from Lipovka. No ground vehicles, just sailing through that blue for as long as they could. But it just was not to be. They go out 10th, so too little too late. Hang on a minute. There's a little bit of a team kill going on there with a nade. Team 8, what are you doing?
But there's a bit more action here in towards the observatory. Gosu Shy's like, right, boys, we got a new spot. We're going to take this. It's our, nice one coming in. There's so many teams about to jump onto this spot, though, to be fair. And all this noise, all this action, I think people are going to start to get a bit hungry for it. There's so many squads coming in. It's going to really turn the tides of battle, these next few fights. Keel and Team 2 fighting it out. Meanwhile, we've got Team 14, the top spot, under contention heavily here. It does seem that pro players, by the way, coming out on top of Team 5, and Keel doing a decent enough job against Team 2. They will eventually finish them all off. Is that all of them gone? I don't think it is, actually. They've just downed a couple.
Team 2 still have 2 players into the mix. One of them is down. One did just get finished, so there's 2 players for Team 2 still going. One of them is just completely bugging out, leaving his teammate at the moment, Fatal Slug, and the rest of the pro players, by the way, have control of the observatory. They're going to be pushing in. Fatal Slug gets sprayed down with the UMP. There needs to be a teammate coming through before the reload comes out, but he's so low. Will go down. And they're starting to move it in forwards. The 3 players for Team 14 in there at the moment. They're still going to spray. Team 5 gets eliminated, but there's still Team 6 encroaching onto this position.
And once again, these are the top 2 teams that really want to be vying for a top 3 finish. So it's going to become very important. I feel like Keel, having just fought one squad, really don't want to go for this. They didn't manage to fully finish Team 2 either, as Reed is still alive. So I think maybe they're focusing on trying to find out where he has disappeared to. That was a little bit awkward there. I think maybe if there was less of pro players, by the way, alive, it could have been workable for Deathblade, I believe, kind of baiting out his downed teammate, hiding around the door. Only worked on one player, obviously, once they knew that he was there. They've got 3 of them to just jump in. Oh, this is going to be very awkward.
Atomical.
Team 1's in here. Atomical's going to walk into so many players. Doesn't realise it. One sat in the corner. He gets finished, but it's
he's got a teammate.
Piengu to come in. He does take down a couple here. And just finished them off as well. Oh, Zachary kind of lets them fall a little bit. Maybe caught reloading. Piengu's got a really good chance.
He's out the window. He knows his team is gone, and with only 1 player going down for Team 4, this is a really strong position for them. He's just going to bug out straight away on that 2-seater motorbike. Very, very fast, very, very nippy in those open ground situations. Just smokes himself to safety. Team 17, though, they have a player moving in, potentially a little bit of congestion, but still, both Team 6 and Team 14 in very strong positions. Except for Omnitosa, who has actually gone down in the meantime. Nade goes in, looking for the shot, but Atka just falls instantly. It's traded down, but Team 4 have plenty of people to just come and res that one up. We do have to get there, though, and I'm not sure how many times he's been down before.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
They might be leaving him.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. He's quite close to that next zone, or the blue, I should say, and it's coming in just a few seconds. So yeah, I think he might end up going. So it's kind of bittersweet there in the end, but a fair few kills
Team
coming
14.
in, I suppose.
They're under threat. Team 6 and Team 14 are clashing at the moment. The Keeled squad and the pro players, by the way. 1 player has already gone down. Probably Org as well, so they're going to want to try and protect that very, very strong weapon. Low recoil. Osu Shy is suppressing the players down towards the north of them, in towards the field, but It's going to be a real difficult res to try and go for. And they are just going to finish it off. Neil's able to get that kill with the Mini 14. I'm just going to back it up. 2 players now left for pro players, by the way, but the full 4 for Kiel. Again, a really strong game for them.
Yeah, looking great so far. And you just kind of look down the side. They're the only team that has every member alive. Unfortunately, well, I suppose for now, you know, Team 4 are very close, but they're going to be 2 down in just a second when Pieng ends up going down, as he is still... Or have they rezzed him? No, I think he's still... He's fallen, but he's still on the side there. It's a little bit confusing, because I can't see him on the map anywhere. There we go. There we go. He gets removed eventually. But yeah, so they have quite a good advantage here on the Kiel side, as, you know, the next closest teams are Team 14, Team 4, with those 2 members alive. So logically, they have the kind of mathematical advantage, and if they all stick together, should find it quite easy to trade. But I mean, that's never really how it ends up going, is it, John? Someone might just get the jump on them. They're a little bit split as well, as they still have Reed to deal with in the side, taking these fights. I don't think they're fully aware of how very close he is to Niels and Epoch especially. They do really need to be careful, but I think because he's all by himself and he has so much shooting going on around, you can just kind of see he's really not reacting or moving as yet.
This is the thing, though. They might have the most players on the map, but everyone is going to know exactly where they are. All those crosshairs are going to be trained in their direction, which means that they are really, really under threat when it comes to this next move, because they're just outside the circle. And if you look at where they have to go, there is a little bit of terrain cover, but it's tricky. They have to move between those hay bales. They have to get towards that pylon to try and get some of that terrain cover, but that position's already occupied. They have to fight through a lot to get to where they want to go. But the same can be said for Team 14, Team 2 as well. It's going to be a real dynamic move in the next circle.
Slowing things down here. I think the players kind of realise that as well. They don't want to lose anyone before this next push comes in. Oh, look on the map though. Niels and Epoch just running straight past Reed. He's playing so passively. Yeah, he's very, I think, scared to take these fights. Which, I mean, maybe rightly so. If he recognises and has kept up with the scoreline, he'll know that Kiel have got all their members alive, and it's probably not the best idea to try and take them on at this late stage of the game.
No, you don't want to be losing members at this point. I mean, obviously, if you're solo, you don't want to lose anyone, but already they managed to find themselves a vehicle. Team 14 pro players, by the way, will start their move, but they are splitting up. They are going 1-1 at the moment. Like Gosu. Even Crumplefly at the moment on his own. They might regroup later on, but for now, Team 4 are going to get the shots down onto Team 6, the Kiel squad, but he's not going to miss any. He's going to miss pretty much all of the spray. Team 1 taking a little bit of fire as well. If they can continue to go forwards at the moment, it's just a couple of whiff shots for Fieta. Niels and the rest of the team have the lock on that position. They might just go for the push.
They're really unsure of, you know, where to go here, not really gaining...
That crossbow?
It is. Oh, God.
No way.
That's so awkward. Great positioning from Gosu here. Kind of misses the first shot, but it's all good because he's not been noticed yet. Still not able to find the kill, though, and his teammate is going to fall, so he kind of has to move and try and recover things here. Unfortunately, I think it does look like Crumplefly going to go down. It's Reed. He snipes that kill and gives his position away. I'm not entirely sure about that. Stat padding, I suppose. But now, yeah, they're going to be a little bit more aware that there's another player. Fieta, meanwhile, going to get pushed in by 2 players. Epoch able to deal with him easily enough, though. And now a solid advantage for Kiel as they have got so much control over the top side of this circle.
5 teams remain, 4 players up for the Kiel in the side of 8. Again, they find themselves with that 50% of the remaining players in the server. Question is, are they going to be able to capitalize? Gosu Shy actually managed to get a pot shot down onto Vanilla CS. So they've got one down, but there's still plenty to res up. Reed still waiting in the wings. Got that crossbow wildcard as well on that eastern side in the hands of Youngshun. Or they have that representative over to the northeast side. Question is, are they going to be able to make it across this ground? Because this is a very strange final circle. You're between these hay bales. There's a lot of ground cover with the grain on the floor. And it's going to make it really interesting to see if Kiel are going to be able to have that dominance and be able to spot everyone out in the same way. Still, the res hasn't come through. Omnitoaster starting to make this move, but Reed might get the bead on it.
Possibly. see if they're going to go for it. Gosu as well in on the side, trying to make it awkward for Kiel. You do have to bear in mind, sure, all 4 are alive, but essentially, 2 teams of 2. So when it comes to rezzing and helping out your comrade, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Obviously going to be a little bit low now as well.
Yeah, the advantage of having this 2-2 setup is that you can isolate multiple angles, and essentially instead of protecting as a 4 from 360 degrees, you're protecting from 180 in 2 sets of 2. But Reed actually managed to get the down again onto Vanilla CS. Does take the life for it, but that's 2 downs now onto Vanilla.
Yeah, maybe he's inadvertently helping out some of the other teams here. As Gosu Shy trying to land a few pot shots, but unfortunately not able to do so. There goes the crossbow. Yeah, as it's pretty much going to be once again the Kiel show. We've not really talked an awful lot about Angelical Boar, who's been creeping.
Vanilla went down actually. But he actually died because, of course, he'd been down so many times. The health just ticked away so quickly, and Reed actually managed to claim the kill posthumously from the grave. He's able to manage to take that one down, but the north side of the circle completely in the control of Kiel at the moment. Still 2 players that they have to fight through, though. And they are pretty decent at this stage. They've got... Gosu Shy has got the M24, so really, really dangerous. You peek your head up, you're going to know about it in the morning.
Certainly. Ooh, and there you go. Shot rattles off. Not quite able to land anything yet. Oh, does actually tag up Epoch, but not able to finish him off. Again, though, this late stage of the game, picking up the meds, tagging them down is certainly going to be important. I'm not sure whether either side is really aware of Angelical Boar here. He's just kind of creeping on through, a little bit of an unknown entity by the looks of things, hoping that maybe, this Kiel side especially gets thinned out a bit. At the moment, though, he's just going to have to wait patiently.
They should have been counting the kills on a team that they will have their eye on. They should know that Gosu is alone at the moment. They know they're fighting 1 versus 2 solos. But still, that doesn't make it any easier. It's so difficult to make these pushes because they just don't know where Team 4 is, where Angelica's going, and where he's going to come from. Gosu making use of these smoke nades, but he's out now. Will have to just rely on his wits, his wile, his gumption to see himself towards that final circle.
So very close. You just kind of have to bear in mind, it's like both these players have relatively good cover, but they are just outside of the circle. So it's a question of maybe playing it slowly, but obviously doing that allows Kiel to push in, as you can see, and take things at their own pace, control the final stages of this. It does all depend, though. Angelical Boar kind of has a bit of a jump on a couple of these players, but like you say, I think they are fairly aware that there's still someone else unaccounted for. Gosu, though, again, trying to go for the snake play. It's a little bit more effective in the first-person realms, but still is kind of risky. You have very little cover if you get spotted out, and you're also a bit prone, can't really see very well because there's all grass in front of you. It is not the best of situations to be in. Gosu, though, does kind of have a relatively good spot where it is kind of open, and he's also pretty hidden, so definitely workable, but again, depends on where that next circle... well, obviously now it's going to shrink down in towards the middle, isn't it? So it depends on if they can get to the middle fast enough and in time. This is a very, very slow end, indeed.
Do they rise up against their overlords? They go for the spray. He's actually taking a little bit of flack there from Gosu Shy. He has to make the fast move, but that's really a dangerous decision to go for. Down to 9 HP, looking for the cover. Is going to be able to find it, but he's only got that 1 first aid kit. Makes it further towards the center of that circle, but he's given away his position. They know exactly where he is. Now's the time to strike, though, if you're Team 4. You're looking for those positions. The nades are going to start to come through, and there's plenty in the arsenal. He managed to get the headshot down. He might make it work here. No. He's gonna meet his maker. Niels is gonna be there, but Angelical Boar 4 is still going strong. Laid down, actually gonna be enveloped by the blue, and it's just gonna take him away. Okay, what an anticlimactic finish.
I suppose he just did not really fancy his chances at all, or I suppose at that point, with it being so late in the game, as we kind of saw, he gets caught by it, and he really does get caught by it. It ends up finishing him off really, really quickly, so it is quite hard to react to. Bit of inexperience coming in from him, or perhaps the fact that he'd been not really doing anything for so long, he just sort of fell asleep at the keyboard, and and got a bit caught off. But once again, it's Kiel taking that top spot.
A very dominant performance from them as well. High kill games and top spot finishes. This is a team that is going to look towards the top of that roster, top of that list for pretty much the rest of the tournament. I mean, they've been doing so well so far. Before this week, I believe they were sat certainly towards the top. I think they're in second place by only about 50 points, 50 to 7, I think 70 points. Or something around that sort of area. And with the performance that they've had today, I'm pretty sure they're going to be miles into the lead at this stage. Very, very close, obviously, to pro players, by the way. But we just haven't seen them turn up in the same way that apparently they have been doing so previously. So we're going to be looking to them to maybe try and step it up in our next game today. But I'm really excited for how these Kiel boys are playing. They're really, really showing people what they're made of and testing the mettle of everybody else going.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like you say, it especially seems to be this week that they have picked things up. As pro players still going to be vying for a top spot after this particular week, but it's kind of difficult to say. I don't think they placed as highly in the first game as they did here. So Kiel really going to extend the lead and start growing ahead of the pack. It is very kind of difficult. It's a little bit hard to guess which team Swansea are as well, which was also a team a little bit in contention of that top spot. But I think now, yeah, it's certainly going to be between that DMU side and that Kiel side. Maybe this next game going to change things around if Kiel get knocked out early. So we will have to see. I too am pretty excited to see how this final one's going to go, as it is very, very important to the standings. But some great games so far where, like you say, Kiel are dominant. They are deserved of the win. It's not kind of like a cheeky little play that comes in at the end where they pick up the final kill to get that top spot. They are getting it through their great team play, through their brilliant reads of zones and when to move, when to attack, what fights to take. And again, maybe a little bit of luck on their side in terms of where the zones come, but it's kind of how you play around and how you make your own luck by, playing into the game quite solidly.
Yeah, they made some very solid decisions, very strong rotations, not deciding to go for that observatory. They knew pro players, by the way, had control of it. And they just decided, you know what? You can have it. We don't need loot. We don't need your stuff. We're just going to go and take a stronger position for the next move. And that's exactly what they did. They moved through and they fought their hearts out. They only lost one in the process. Both games in a row, they've only lost one. Well, I think it might have been Omni Toaster both times as well. So I have to look back and double check on that. But a really, really strong performance, and you can't fault them. They're playing really, really well against the rest of these players. A couple of missed shots coming through, allowing them to move through a little bit better, but still, that doesn't take the victory away from them. They're doing very well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff from them, and we will see if they can keep it up consistently going into our third game of the evening. We will be back in just a few short moments, so do be sure to stick around.